Tara Jacobson, Marketing Artfully. So today I want to talk about 10 tips for when you're starting your vintage Etsy shop. And I have had an Etsy shop for going on 3 years now. I have an older one that was digital products, but my vintage shop I started before, so like everything I do in my life, I started right before we moved from Colorado to Tampa, and I got so many cool things in Colorado, and now I have a bunch of cool stuff I've found here too. But it's so hard to find information about selling vintage on Etsy that I thought that I would go through 10 things that I really know now that I've been doing this for a while. So number one is buy low but not too low. If you look at so these things are where I've bought a box lot. So I'm selling something for $24.99. I'm trying really hard to get my average price up to about $30. But when you buy a box lot, you know how that is. At the auction, you get a whole bunch of little stuff. I bought a lot of candlestick holders, but like this Don Quixote is really cool. And so, and I just sold one of these for like 25, and then I charge shipping, so if I wasn't charging shipping. But I'm really trying to find more products that even I can sell, pay a little bit more and then sell at a little higher rate. Because when I started selling, I was like going to the thrift store trying to find everything for cheap, selling it 10 times as much, and I think we all start that way. And so everything in my shop was like $15, $20, maybe bump it up on $20. But now you'll see a lot more where I'm buying something maybe for $10 and not getting 10 times markup, but selling it for $50. So that's something that you can really do to help get your store more manageable. So buy low, but not too low. Number two is don't buy a whole bunch of stuff until you know that it will work. So if we go back here, this is all my oldest stuff that I bought. I knew I have that. I have that somewhere. But I would buy these little scales. For some reason, I really thought that these scales would be super cool. Everybody would want them. They're at all the estate sales I go to, and I think I have maybe 4 or 5 of them listed, and nobody wants them. It's hysterical because, if I really look at things now, I wouldn't have done that. And I have sold some of these. I know that this is an older listing, and I have sold some of these things. But like I said, I used to, if you look at my store back then, it was all little things. I bought a whole bunch of these old man toolboxes because I love them for my stuff. And I thought, oh, everybody's going to love these. And I have sold some of them, but I stopped buying them because people don't really want to buy them. And I bought a whole bunch of these. So now, as you go back, you may want to kind of look at your older stuff. Oh, these silver ringed dishes. Whenever I saw them at the auction, I'm like, oh my God, those are so cool. So I should get those. Now, with these chandelier crystals, first off, it's a really good search for me. So I get a lot of traffic to my shop for chandelier crystals. And then I had like hundreds of them. And I just bought another lot of hundreds of them. And when I sell them individually, they sell a lot faster than when I'm selling the long chains of them. But they are a good search term. So don't be too careful. I like these vintage mother of pearls. I've sold a bunch of them. I had bought a huge lot of them, and I've sold a bunch of them. And but now I buy more silver plate because I sell a lot more silver plate. So, and one admission, I bought a whole bunch of these banjo thermometers because I think they're so cool. They hang on your wall in like your den or whatever. And they're called banjos because they're a circle at the bottom and then they have this tall thing that comes up. And I bought probably 5 of them. And I never sold one. And then I realized they would be really hard to ship. So I wound up just donating them, which is funny because I was like, I just can't. They just have to go. Like they've been sitting there for 3 years and I just can't even do them. So that's number 2. Don't buy a whole bunch of stuff until you figure out what sells. Number 3, check your Etsy SEO. So Um, at the I'm gonna have a whole vintage Etsy SEO video for you guys, but the very easiest thing you can do is you can search for vintage, right? And see what people want. So vintage rings, vintage t-shirts, dresses, clothing, and I sell vintage decor, so I would want to say vintage decor. And so now we want decorations, home, lidded bowls, books for the bedroom, so things for the bedroom. Um, Kitchen, I sell a lot of vintage kitchen. And what you can do is just hit search, and you'll see, I want to get this off, and you'll see, farmhouse decor is still super, super popular. So you would want to include farmhouse decor in your titles and tags. Rustic is, because if you're doing vintage, you really want to do that. Now, one thing to avoid is shabby chic, because that is trademarked by Rachel somebody. But you can use the Etsy SEO to do that and to kind of figure out what's already popular. So that's fun. Okay, so number 3, do your Etsy vintage SEO, and I will have a whole video on that. That could be all day. Niche or not niche? Okay, here goes. So I've seen some cute shops where they have like there's one, I think it's maybe called Cute Overload, or it's something like that, where she has all different things that are like little planters and they're all like 1970s kitschy stuff, right? So you could do a shop like that. I know Viva Terra, whoops, one of the gals in one of our groups pulled out all of her jewelry. So she has a decor shop and she has a jewelry shop. So if you find you like doing one kind of thing better than the other, maybe do have a separate shop. Now, know that having a separate shop is hard. I tend to sell a lot of metal things. Now, I'll buy the random, box lot of little figurines. I love selling, I do like selling figurines. I tend to sell a lot of them, but I sell a lot of metal vases. I sell metal flower frogs. I sell metal kitchen stuff, brass. I just found that I like shipping metal. I'm not as scared of it as I am of glassware. Now, that having been said, a lady just donated me a whole bunch of glassware, so I will sell it, of course. But when I'm sourcing, when I'm looking, I tend to really look for glassware or metalware. So figure out what you like and do that. Manage your inventory is number 5. Oh my goodness, this one. So I have a great inventory system that I accidentally sort of started when I started. So I have boxes that say Etsy 1. And what I'll do, and I wanted to show you this. Oops, I'm going to have to go over to I lost my mouse. Sorry. There it is. I'm going to have to go over to my shop. So I use the SKU number to tell me where inventory is. Okay. So I have several different places where I keep my inventory. Some of it's upstairs, some of it's downstairs. So this vintage rattan thing, sewing basket, is in the bookcase, okay? Which is awesome. So I don't have to go searching for this. I would be able to guess that this is in silver because it's a silver swan, but I don't have to guess because it's in bookcase too. Look at that. And if you use that SKU, I use it for where did I get it? So Florida estate sale, I have Denver estate sale, I have like Last Chance Thrift is one of my favorite things. And I don't really track that, but I like to know where I got my stuff. So, and then how much I paid for it. If I know how much I paid for it, then I will put that in there. Okay. Back to this. Okay. So that's manage your inventory, because if you're spending 20 minutes looking for something, you're wasting money. You need to figure out an inventory system. And if you guys want to know, like I'm really rabid about my inventory system, if you'd like me to do a video about that, it would be really different than my normal videos. But I'll be happy to show you my vintage inventory system if you leave a comment below and let me know. I guess I could do that. Should you sell smalls or bigs or both? So my friend Tina doesn't mind shipping giant things. She's like, my husband's a trucker, and if I have to figure out how to ship it, I'll do it. And I have really found over the years that I do not enjoy shipping big things. So I have, if you look at my shop, oldest to newest, which we can see from in our shop because it'll show, you know, the listings over time, right? So if we go to the middle part, you'll see I have bigger things, and I just don't enjoy doing it. So I have decided to really go to like this. Oh God, that chair is going to be a pain in the ass to ship. And that's just not something I enjoy doing. This wooden tool primitive, I'm probably going to have to make a box for because it's like this long and you know. So figure out whether you're the kind of person. Oh, let's talk about, glassware. Do you like shipping glassware? Those are all things to think about when you're sourcing, right? When you're getting stuff. And speaking of sourcing, number 7 is where do you get your inventory? So I get most of my inventory at thrift stores around here, and I also get it at auctions and estate sales. So I live in Florida, and a lot of elderly people will come here before they pass on to the great yard sale in the sky. And so we have a lot of inventory here that I can do. I just went to the most amazing estate sale or estate sale last week and got so much cool stuff. So that's something to figure out in your area where you can find things. Some places have amazing thrift stores, and our thrift stores are okay, but they're not amazing. The estate sales are amazing here, and then a lot of times you can do really well at our auctions. So figure out where you can source. And I have a free ebook about this, so I will make sure to put a link for that in the description below, where I talk about sourcing a lot more. Sell more of what sells. Oh, I know this feels sort of like don't buy stuff until you know what you're doing, but there's also I search things out. So I can hardly keep doorstops in my shop because almost every time I list a doorstop, let's see if we can see if there's any doorstops in my shop. Doorstop. I may have a few listed. So I have just a few listed. I have sold so many doorstops. Like I go to auctions, and if they have a big lot of doorstops, I will buy the big lot of doorstops. I'll just keep bidding until I get to buy them, because say a lot of 10 doorstops goes up to $129. Well, I can sell one doorstop for $129, and for some reason Etsy thinks that I'm the queen of doorstops. So that's something that you can really start to find out what sells, especially in your shop, right? You'll get known for things, and it's not even in the way of the real world where you get known for things. It's the way of Etsy knows if they show my doorstops, they get sold more. So then if I have a doorstop, they show it. It's like a really happy spiral. So sell more of what sells. Number 9, don't get freaked out about shipping. Oh my goodness. I teach a class in person, and for Etsy sellers, for the little score people, and the shipping just messes with everybody's mind. So don't get freaked out about shipping before you have to. If you're really freaked out of shipping, 2 things. Sell smalls, right? Get smaller things that you can fit in a regular box and you don't have to pay $1 bajillion to ship. And number 2, ship locally, like the United States, maybe Canada, if you're freaked out, because any problem you have with shipping is going to be exasperated by, shipping overseas. So and I will tell you that I messed this up when I started. I bought this really heavy game, and I listed it for $17, I think. Or maybe I listed it for like $17 and $5 shipping or something like that. And it wound up costing, the cost of a flat rate box to ship. So I didn't make any money on it. I think I lost money on it. But then I figured it out, right? Like the first time you ship something, you're going to be freaked out and it's going to really mess with your mind. But after that, you'll get better at it. So I just am here to tell you, don't be nervous about shipping. And number 10 is have fun. I think that we all need to, as Etsy sellers and as vintage Etsy sellers, like, so handmade sellers have the thrill in the making, right? Like they have the creative process of designing something, of doing all that. And we get the fun in sourcing things. We get the fun in finding a new niche and in having really cool things that we can sell. And so if you're not happy selling something, then stop selling it. For example, I heard on one of my favorite podcasts, the Scavenger Life, which is actually for eBay sellers, but they have tons of great tips for how to sell vintage online. Scavenger Life podcast. It's on your normal podcast players. But they were saying that they had a gal come on who sold 90s clothes, right? Like all clothes, all the time. The Scavenger Life people, they sell shoes, right? And they'll talk about it a lot, how they can make a good $1 billion selling shoes. Or one of the people came on and was a postcard seller, and he sold one postcard at a time. So none of those appeal to me, right? Like none of those have an appeal to me. Managing, thousands of postcards doesn't make me happy. Having to clean shoes and polish them doesn't make me happy. Having to polish silver makes me super happy. I have my barkeeper's friend and I just go over there and I do it. And, so whatever makes you happy is what you should do to have fun with your Etsy vintage shop. So hopefully that helps. Tara Jacobson, Marketing Artfully.